Bring back rock.
Hey, it's Dean and welcome to Bring Back Rock. Today we're going to talk about a band who a lot of us who follow the genre released a debut album that is considered a stone cold classic sleaze and glam record. The lead singer also has one of the most easily identifiable and unique voices in rock. We got a lot to talk about with them, so let's get right to it. We're going to talk about Vane. Vane, hailing from San Francisco, released their debut album No Respect in 1989. But Davy Vane's first claim to fame came as a producer, producing San Francisco thrash band Death Angel's debut album, 1987's The Ultraviolence. Davy had been in a number of bands prior to Vane, and at one time recorded some demos of his own songs, which we'll get back to. Now, the band he was in just prior to Vane was pretty serious, practicing about 6 times a week. However, he was the last guy in the band. He's having trouble getting some of his original material worked up. They had different ideas on which direction the band should go, but he said no major complaints. He was still sticking with them. Now, Davy Vane had a friend who he says was super cool. She opened her own record store at 18, started producing shows around San Francisco, and eventually became manager of bands such as Four Non Blondes, Christina Aguilera, and of course, Vane. She was pretty plugged into the San Francisco scene. Now, remember that demo that Davy Vane had produced of his own songs? Well, she passed that on to Kirk Hammett of Metallica, who wanted to get into producing. He loved Davy's voice and wanted to work with him. His band, however, said, nope, it's a rehearsal day. If you work with Kirk, you're out of the band. Davy said, I think I'll take the opportunity to work with a huge rock star, and goes and cuts his solo demos. This leads him to forming his own band, and Vane is born. The classic lineup of Vane is Davy Vane on vocals, Ash Mitchell on bass, Jamie Scott on lead guitar, Danny West on rhythm guitar, and Tom Ricard on drums. Let me just say the band has mostly been original members ever since. Davy and Ashley Mitchell were always in the band. Jamie Scott was in the band all but 5 years. He took a break from 95 to 2000. Danny West took a 10-year break from 95 to 2005 and left again in 2015. Tom Ricard left in 1991, but he returned in 2009 and is currently in the band. So some of the original members have kind of been in and out, but a majority of Vane's existence has had at least a majority of the original members in the band at any one time. Vane started getting record company interest almost right away. Epic Records was particularly interested and was working with Vane, sending them demo tapes of songwriters they wanted them to work with, etc. But he said, eventually, these songwriters aren't writing the type of music I want to write. This isn't where I want to take the band. And he said, thanks, but no thanks to Epic. Eventually, they signed with Island Records because Island Records really believed the artist should be in charge of their creative direction. Soon after signing with Island Records, Davy ran into Rick Rubin, who he had worked with before, and told him they had signed with Island. Rick Rubin said, they have really crappy distribution, which Davy did not know, but came to find out. Now, while Vane was headlining shows in San Francisco, a band from LA you might have heard of, Guns N' Roses, would come up and open for Vane, and then when Vane played LA, they would go down and open for GNR. This kind of comes into play later. They've also opened up for Skid Row. Now, I want to tell you this. I saw them when they were playing Triple Bill. It was Blondes. If you don't know who they are, I have a video on them. They're great. If you put Bon Jovi and Tesla in a blender together, you'd come up with the Blonde sound. Blondes opened, Vane came on second, and Bang Tango headlined. So they also toured with Bang Tango. Island released 2 videos off of No Respect for the songs Who's Watching You and Beat the Bullet, which both got rotation on MTV. While recording the follow-up to No Respect, All Those Strangers, the record company was sold, the album was shelved, and Vane was dropped. Now I need to tell you about another band, a band called Road Crew, which was essentially Vane. Told you Guns N' Roses would come into play here, with Steven Adler on drums. Road Crew was a band that Steven Adler had been in before with Slash and Duff McKagan, pre-GNR, that's the name they used. They recorded demos, got a lot of record company interest, but eventually Steven Adler's substance abuse issues ended up derailing that band as well. So to recap, in 1989, their debut, No Respect, came out. Then in 1991, they recorded All Those Strangers, but it was shelved. In 1993, Move On It was released in Japan on Polystar Records. The next album, Fade, came out in 95. In 2005, they released On the Line. Now, Got Discs also re-released No Respect in 2005. In 2010, All Those Strangers, recorded in 91, was finally released. In 2011, Enough Rope came out. In 2017, their 7th studio album, Rolling with the Punches, came out. There's one other album I do want to talk about. In 2000, Davey Vain recorded a solo album called In From Out of Nowhere. He wishes now that he would have released it as a Vain album. It fits in right with their music. They just wanted to go out and play those songs and didn't want to have to do a whole set of the No Respect songs, so they released it as a solo album. I personally thought following No Respect, their sound got a little softer, a little more atmospheric, but in 2011's Enough Rope, it saw a return closer to the No Respect sound, and that continued with Rolling with the Punches. Those are my 2 favorite albums after the debut. I suggest you listen to all of them, judge for yourself. So what are they up to now? Well, Davey is still doing studio work. He loves it, but he considers that his job, and being a musician and songwriter is what he is. Ashley Mitchell and Tommy Rickard are still in Vain as the rhythm section. Danny West, I'm not sure, but I did see Danny West Custom Guitars based in San Francisco. Could be a coincidence, but maybe not. And lastly, Jamie Scott has had a name changed to Delana D.N. Nova Scott and is a transgender female, also the CEO of Third Power Amplifications, and has amps on tour with bands such as Little Big Town, Miranda Lambert, and Justin Timberlake. All right, it's music time. I've included samples from the debut album and the 2 most recent discs. So enjoy a little Vain, and I'll catch up with you at the end of the video.
You've got a way to make me feel like I wanna be with you, just a little more than hypnotized. But if I do what I wanna, I get down on my knees, praying to the Lord that I beat before it. I get down on my knees, praying to the Lord that I beat before it. I'm beating.
right, so that was a little bit about San Francisco's Vane, a band that's been doing it for quite a while. Where can you find them? Well, you can still buy their CDs, and they're not that expensive. Davey Vane has a store online also if you want to download some of them. You can also find them on your streaming services. Most of the music is out there on the streaming services right now, so you can check them out there. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch, and if you would hit that subscribe button, that would be awesome. Thank you. And we will catch you on the next episode. Thanks again for watching.